This episode is brought to you by Trailer Park Yard Games, where over 28 games are delivered directly to your party. We park the trailer, you party.
So, Rachel, I want to ask you a question. I think you're the best person to ask this question of.
Will you come massage me?
How you doing?
Yeah, that you know.
I'm sorry. Hold on, because they weren't listening when we were talking earlier.
Yeah, why don't you give a little reference?
Yes. Or should we not? Should we just let them one? No. So Rachel used to be a masseuse, and
then she fled away to Carrollton.
Yes, and Bill and Ann had her. It sounds so weird. Had her over.
How you doing?
What was this? You had her
We
over.
hired her.
Voluntold her.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
We were her client, and she's fantastic. And I got to tell you, if I give a shout out, if she was still doing it, if she moved back down to where we're at, I would do that. But I completely lost my train of thought now.
Let's have a chat, talk this and that with PB and Jaisy.
Well, welcome to the PB and Jaisy podcast. I'm Bill Stedham. I'm the lucky bee sandwiched between two beautiful women, and right to my right is...
I'm Sarah, and I feel like DJ Sarah today. We'll talk about these in a minute. But I'm Sarah, Sarah Padgett. I'm the P in the PB and Jaisy.
I'm Jaisy. Today I'm Jaisy with the headphones. I'm Jaisy. Nice to be here.
And I guess we'll just get the headphones out of the way right away. This is, as all 8 followers of our podcast know, this happens to be one of the first podcasts that we're doing remotely. So our guests, we really wanted to have them on, and just due to logistics, we're doing this over Zoom. We've got a few more of these set up throughout the course of the year. So that's the reason behind the podcast. But speaking of our guests, I've known them for a long time. And we are really fortunate today to have Rachel Fite and
her first husband,
Eric Fite.
Only.
Eric and Rachel, welcome. Thanks for being here.
It's our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having
It's great to see you guys today.
So it's great to see you, and thanks for joining us. And, I know that you guys have been busy today. You've been at one of your children's events today, and that's really what we want to talk about today. We want to get into, talking about raising children in a crazy world and all the things that you've done. And so we're going to ask a lot of questions, and I guess by way of introduction, and I think I'm the oldest person in the room.
Yeah,
right
you
here.
are.
Usually,
sure.
yes. Usually,
for sure.
you are.
Not a doubt.
By a lot.
Probably all of us together are still younger than.
Wow.
I thought you were asking. Was that a question?
Yeah. So we're starting with this. This is good. And Eric even hopped right in on there. So
fits right in.
Yeah, fits right in. So I think this is the only family I know anywhere in America that not only has one Eagle Scout child, I believe you have 2 or soon to be 2. Is that correct? And
We have 2 currently, and soon to be maybe one day 4. We'll see. They're all on that path. So
yeah. So let's just get this out of the way. 2 Eagle Scouts, soon to be a 3rd. Is that correct?
Yep.
And then your daughter also is on the path to be an Eagle Scout. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, she's the 3rd. So.
She's the 3rd?
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. How many kids do y'all have total? 3, 4? 4.
4. And our youngest is next year will be moving from Cub Scouts to Boy Scouts. So he's on that path already, but we officially next year when he starts the Boy Scout career.
I stopped
We
at.
love the scouting program.
Well, I stopped at Brownie. So can you tell me a little bit about what Eagle Scout, what it is, what it entails? Because I know it's a big deal, but tell us a little bit about that.
It's a pretty big deal. It's kind of like the ultimate recognition and awards that you can achieve in scouting. And only 4% of scouts ultimately become Eagle Scouts. So it's a pretty unique thing. And you have to do a lot of stuff over many years to do it, and it's time bound, which means once your 18th birthday rolls up, if you have not earned it, you will never earn it your entire life. That's it. It's over. So it
No
kind of
pressure.
teaches you at age.
Yeah, there's various stages that you have to go through for the different levels, till you reach Eagle. And then there's a certain requirement for merit badges that you have to do. So there's some that are required, some that you can choose from. And it kind of just creates like a whole person. And then the project at the end, the Eagle project, is supposed to be a leadership project. So you choose something that will benefit the community that you can come back 10 years from now and still observe. And you have to plan it all out. You have to submit it to a committee for approval. You have to run everything. So you're not supposed to actually do the work yourself. You have to, you know, have helpers come in, and it's just supposed to teach you a little bit more about leadership, because Scouts is a really big leadership organization.
So does it go from Cub Scouts to Boy Scouts, and then once you're 18, you then become an Eagle? If you go through it the right way, is it then an Eagle Scout?
Ultimately, yes, but it's not when you turn 18. It's you have to earn it by the time you turn 18.
So you could earn your Eagle Scout at, 15, 16, 17. And once you hit your 18th birthday, the opportunity has passed.
Wow.
So let me get this straight. So 4% of Boy Scouts are Eagle Scouts, but 75% of the Fite family is an Eagle Scout. Is that right?
We're you 100?
Yeah, we're 50% of our children.
What happens if they don't? That's what I'm afraid of. Where do you send them?
They lose the name.
Well, the standard has already been set now.
Yes.
Eric, were you an Eagle, or are you an Eagle Scout?
I'm not an Eagle Scout, but I was a Cub Scout and I was in Boy Scouts. But I unfortunately did not continue on my journey. When I ended up moving to a different town, and just again, kind of, I was one of the 96%, unfortunately.
So I don't know that everybody really picked up on how significant this is. So I know of one other family that I've ever met in my entire life that has 2 kids that are Eagle Scouts, and that would be the Gants. All right. So the Fites and the Gants, and the Fites are preparing to do 3 and soon 4. That's a big deal.
Sounds like a competition to me.
So Rachel, I want to ask you a question. I think you're the best person to ask this question of.
Will you come massage me?
Yeah, that
I'm sorry. Hold on, because they weren't listening when we were talking
no one heard
earlier.
this
Yeah, I want to give a little reference.
Yes.
Or should we not? Should we just let them? No. So Rachel used to be a masseuse, and
Then
Bill,
she fled away to Carrollton.
yes, and Bill and Ann had her. It sounds so weird. Had her over. What was this? You had her
we
over.
hired her.
Voluntold
and she
her.
was no, we
Client,
didn't.
yeah.
We were her client, and she's fantastic. And I got to tell you, if I give a shout out, if she was still doing it, if she moved back down to where we're at,
ruined her.
I would do that, but I completely lost my train of thought now. No,
Stop thinking
Sorry.
about the massage.
He was thinking about the massage.
Yeah, that's what it is.
yeah. So, but
I do have that effect.
Yeah.
yes, you do. But I want to know, and you're in the best position to know this. Now, I know both of the gentlemen I'm going to ask you about. I used a phrase lightly with one of them. So Jim Fite, that's your father-in-law, right? He also happens to be the owner of the company, and I guess my ultimate boss. So I may not have a job after this, because both of my bosses are right here, or 2 of my 3 bosses. But here's the question, Rachel. Does Eric have Jim's parenting skills? Are they the same? And Eric's dying laughing.
Honesty and integrity. Tell the truth.
Yeah, Jim is very wordy. He likes to
Watch out.
share his
Eric's like-
lectures.
He loves life lessons. Like, it is his
there you
mission
go.
in life
That's a good way
to
put
impart
it.
life
Yeah.
lessons at every opportunity he sees it.
And they
so-
are good life lessons.
They
And
are.
yeah, they are good life lessons. And I think Eric does that to some extent, maybe in a more humorous way.
Eric does have a really good sense of humor. He really does.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Well, demonstrate. Give me an example.
Well, the one story I can think of, I really probably shouldn't tell, but I will. So we were on our trip for the office. So one really good thing, I won't tell that part. But one really good thing about our company is they reward us with an annual trip. And so, if you do the things you're supposed to do, and it's a sales organization, so they honor that by taking us on a trip. Well, Eric, I think he was just drinking water that day. I'm pretty sure, but
A little too much water.
yeah, a lot of Mexico water wherever we were at. I don't even remember. That's how much water I had.
That was Panama.
Oh, okay. So we're sitting around the pool, and you know how those resorts are. Like, they won't let you just have your moment of peace. They have to get you up to hula hoop or something weird. And so they had asked Loff, which Loff was our first podcast, right?
Yeah, he's in the other room right now with clients.
So-
we could actually pull him over
So
here and have him on this.
Loff and Eric could not look any different. And I'm not just talking black and white. I mean, Eric's probably double his height. half his weight. And they call Loff up to do like a little dance, and they're like, who else should we get? And everybody, I don't know, we didn't have it planned, but everyone just starts pointing at Eric. And Eric reluctantly got up. I can't tell a lot of the story, but he did end up getting up, and it looked kind of like, have you seen those like blow up things that they...
You're just making movements?
Yeah, and it was... I mean, there was something poetic about it. I kind of wish I had it.
It was an interpretive dance.
Yeah, it was like a cocoon. It was like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon. It was beautiful. So that's the story I have. But other than that, he has a really good sense of humor, and he makes me laugh. Even if it's at him, he makes me laugh.
Well, so yeah, there was that moment where I was the get your attention on the side of the road blow up thing. But then I saw what Loff was doing and how he was grinding the pool bar, and so I said, well, why don't I just do that? So I did that,
and all the kids started crying.
Yeah, and everyone left the pool area. They shut the resort down. That was it.
They drained the pool.
That was the end of that.
They had to drain the pool.
They haven't invited us back to Panama yet. But I got to tell you, after the 4-hour drive back and forth, I don't know. So that, Eric, you do a lot of Zoom calls. So we're just curious. We want to ask you and Rachel to stand up so we can see if you're like fully dressed.
What? How Zoom is, where you look professional up top.
I have an example.
I was told this was super casual, and I adopted that from the waist down and the neck up.
We have something to show.
We have something to show you.
Something to tell you.
All right, here we go.
He's like, okay, now I feel comfortable.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're like in our pajamas.
I didn't know the Fites had shorts.
Yes.
Right,
so you were amongst family here.
I can remember the first time I saw your dad in shorts. It was
an awkward moment.
It was weird.
And you're not still blinded.
I saw his knees. He has very well sculptured knees, by the way, but they're very white. Very white.
Yeah, so that skips a generation. So mine are not very sculpted.
So
I thought you were going to say white. I'm like, no, they're very white too.
Let me get back to raising kids in an interesting world. So we had the opportunity, when I say we, Anna and I had the opportunity to have Eric and Rachel and the kids over for dinner, I guess a couple years ago. It was prior to COVID. And to this day, when we're out and about talking to people and we're around people talking about large families, they're the most well-behaved children I've ever seen in my life. I mean, we got done with dinner and we're sitting in our backyard eating dinner. We were eating dinner outside, I think. And all of a sudden, like all the kids and they're cleaning up and taking care of things and they're polite. How do you do that? How do you raise your kids to be that well behaved? Because I got to tell you, the rest of the world's not like that.
Please tell me bribery, because I have 2 kids and I feel like that's the.
I was going to say slip them a 20 afterwards, and that pretty much works every time. But we have been blessed with great kids. We teach them respect. We teach them to contribute. And they do, and they have to, do chores, and they have to be a part of this family, not just sit up in their rooms or watch TV. But there's a lot of work that happens in a household to keep it going, and it's up to all of us to contribute to that. So I was excited when they jumped up on their own and did that. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I got to tell you, it's still something I remember. But so I get the privilege of knowing a little bit more about them maybe than other people do. So, 2 Eagle Scouts, pretty big deal, right? One of those Eagle Scouts, though, let's see, what's he doing today in Utah? Isn't he doing something that even a smaller percentage of people ever get a chance to do?
So he is attempting to be a professional ballerina. It's very competitive. He's been dancing since the age of 8, and
wow.
He's 6'5" and very fit, ballerinas are pretty fit. And he has been invited to participate for 2 summers now in the Ballet West program. And this year it was very exciting because he was offered to be a choreographic intensive candidate, which this week and next week on Monday, they did auditions for 3 different performances with 3 different directors, and then you're cast in a performance, and then that's what you work on the next 2 weeks. And then Friday, when I go pick him up next week, there will be a performance. And he said he was cast with 2 other girls, so they're doing a 3-part dance or something. And they took 40 40 kids out of the nation.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So,
What's the path to that? Because you said he started at 8. Did he voice to you guys that he loved dance or ballet?
No, I actually did not want that for him. So I always make the kids try like a variety of activities before they focus and hone in on something. Because, if something doesn't work out, you want to have something else to fall back on. So I made him, continue scouts. And then he also played in the orchestra, the stand-up bass. He did that for several years. And then at the end of 9th grade, he said, this is what I really want to do. We went to the Buffini thing, didn't we?
Yeah, so that's a good point. Yeah, we went to the not Peak Experience. What's the one in San Diego?
Masterminds.
Mastermind, thank you. We went to that one, and the message of that conference was there is no plan B. If you remember that, I think maybe
I do.
some of you guys were there. Bill was there, I know that. And he sat there for 2 or 3 days and listened to these speakers and walked away with that and said, there's no plan B. My plan A is I want to be a professional dancer. And that turned, at that point, he was not old enough to drive. So that turned Rachel into a professional non-paid Uber driver.
I mean, I was doing that anyway, but we switched at the end of the spring of his sophomore year to like a homeschool thing. So he was dancing in the morning and in the evening, whereas before he was just dancing in the evening. And then this last year, his junior year, we switched to, it's like a virtual school program because I realized I'm not very good at homeschool. And he has a school district that provides all of his school virtually. So it was before all this COVID stuff. I know everybody was doing that for a while, but so he'll do that his senior year because they want him to move to Utah so he can finish with the Grapevine School District. So he'll do school in the morning and then dance all afternoon.
That's awesome.
Wow.
How cool is that?
And how's mom and dad feel about him being in Utah and you're in Dallas?
Well, I mean, he's 17 years old and he'll have his own apartment and he's, 900 miles away from anybody
what could
that
go
loves him.
wrong?
I guess.
Yeah.
It's a little overwhelming, but he's so independent and he's ready for this. And this
It'll be good for him.
It's been building for a while now, and
he's tired a lot. I'm not really worried because he's just going to be tired.
He's too tired to go out and do anything crazy.
and he can't get in any trouble because he's exhausted all the time.
Yeah, that's what you do. You just wear them out,
Yeah.
and then they can't do anything else.
Yeah.
Secrets of parenting: wear them out, keep them busy, and wear them out.
Oh, for sure. I don't know
in
how many
trouble.
times, like I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And so I don't know how many times we're just like, all right, let's just take him to the park, have him run around a little bit. And then he'll just go right to bed when we get back home.
I do that with my husband.
Yeah.
I'm like, go run around outside for a minute.
And if he doesn't, with Jaysy's case, they just buy him a tube of butt paste.
Yeah.
And he's good to
And
go.
then he's fine. And then we are up all night cleaning up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I have a
that
question.
sleeping with you.
I have a question for you guys. So, of course, outside looking in, y'all look like, a perfect, happy little couple. I know no one's perfect, but how do y'all keep that's going to sound really personal. How do you keep your marriage exciting? How do you reconnect? You guys do date night. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we have done date night kind of on and off. I would say we haven't been doing a lot of date nights for the last couple of years, obvious reasons. But when we do, we kind of make the most of it. I would say that just being here and working from home so much these last couple of years, we haven't missed time together, I would say. Rachel may feel differently, but I feel like...
Can you step away for a minute, Eric?
Yeah. We don't really argue a lot, so it's kind of harmonious all the time. I don't know.
It must be nice.
that's nice.
Yeah.
What's y'all's parenting style? You know how different parents have, I don't know if Rachel, you follow anything like that. That's like like the Montessori style from when the kids are young or how have you guys learned your way through parenting?
So I read like a lot of books. I had my son when I was 21, so there was a big learning curve there. I read the Positive Discipline series books. I'm a huge fan of Positive Discipline. I read books on the brain development. So like the Magic Years by Selma Fraiberg. It's like the development of the brain from birth to age 6, because then you're creating situations that are age and developmentally appropriate so that you know what your expectation is as a parent. And then I read one that I really liked called Siblings Without Rivalry. That one was really eye-opening for me because it shows that, everybody needs attention in their own way, and it's okay to say, I need you to give me a minute because child B over here needs my attention, but I am going to come back to you and make you feel special. I just can't do it right this very second. So it's all about communication and I think being present.
That's awesome. And with having 4 kids, I'm sure that's important because before we had our second, something that a lot of our friends told us was, hey, even though you have 2 kids now, you need to make sure that every once in a while you have alone time with just one kid where you just take one of them and make sure that they feel valued and special and loved. And so do y'all get a chance to do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do date nights. My oldest son and I will go to the movies, or my daughter and I will go to a vegetarian restaurant because she's vegetarian, but there's always some sort of a fun excursion. Of course, with Scouts, we got a lot of that through Scouts because there's camp outs. There's, a lot of activities that you get to go do through that and get to spend some time with your kid there. But yeah, I think spending that one-on-one time is important because they all need to feel special, and they all need to feel they all need to build that relationship with you as parents and with each other. And I think it's really important.
Obviously I spend more time, with the kids. So I like to spend, it's kind of odd, but as they get older, you spend a lot of time in the car with them because you're driving them everywhere. Right. And I like the conversations that I have with them in the car a lot. Those are nice because there's no pressure. It's just relaxed and you get to have a chit chat about life.
Right. And how old are your kids? They range from what ages?
Our oldest is 20 now, and he's out on his own in his own apartment, and he'll be a junior in college at UNT.
So great. I'm so proud of him.
He's has eyes to be a police officer and wants to majoring in criminal justice. And so that's the path he's on at the moment. He seems to be very happy and loving life. Our second oldest son is the one, the ballerina in Utah. He's 17. And then our daughter is just turned 14, and she's loving volleyball. That's kind of her, she's kind of closing in on that as her major focus in life. So she's really, really loving that. And then our youngest is 10, and he loves playing computer games and Roblox and hanging with his friends. And he loves Cub Scouts and just a normal 10-year-old kind of stereotypical 10-year-old, I guess.
And how many kids have y'all had while we had this podcast? You'll have some more.
Just one that's just going to come out of nowhere. Yeah.
You're working on it right now.
Yeah.
I saw your eyebrows, Eric.
Well, y'all did mention that y'all now have been, y'all have got a lot of chihuahuas and puppies and.
Yes.
Instead of having more kids, y'all just get another dog.
Want to tell about the Chihuahua rescue?
Yeah, I'm not having any more children. It's like, kind of think maybe one more. And then after the last one, I was like, no more. I was done. You have that moment when So we have puppies now because those are super fun. And when you're tired, you just put them in a little cage. And then eventually they move out and it's great.
You never tried that with your kids?
Yeah.
Wait, y'all don't put your kids in cages?
Oh, Tom, you gotta, uh-oh.
But we work with this rescue. We've been doing it about 4 years now, I think. And they like our house because there's always a lot of activity. So they'll send us, groups of 3 to 4 puppies from a litter, and then they just become totally desensitized to everything. We've got the dogs barking, there's kids coming and going, the vacuum cleaners going, and they move out and they're happy.
That's awesome. And you're rescuing Chihuahuas, is that correct?
Wait, say that word again.
Chihuahuas.
Fostering Chihuahuas.
Chihuahuas.
Well, how do you pronounce it?
Chihuahua?
Well,
say it again, one more time.
Chihuahuas. Oh, Sarah.
Oh my God.
Goodness
I
gracious.
just tried doing a big dog. The first time we did it, we had an Irish setter group, and it's a lot of big
poops,
puppies with big poops, and yeah, I like Chihuahuas because they're
check that off.
like a pound or 1 pound. They're so tiny.
So we've got poop that has come out in the podcast.
Yes, not come out. It didn't come out.
So we always have some questions we ask everybody we talk to. So what are you reading now, or what podcast are you listening to?
Besides this one, of course.
This one for sure. So I'm trying to find this. I actually emailed Sarah about this last week, I think, or maybe the week before. Hey, what's the best book that you found out there this year? I'm desperately looking for a great book. So I've added some to my reading list that I haven't quite gotten yet. I've been reading a book called Essentialism, which is about really focusing in on the things that matter and cutting out all the extra stuff that weighs you down. And kind of a simple graphic of that is, when you're focused on something, you're moving forward, but when you're focused on all kinds of things, you don't have any direction forward. You just kind of stay stationary because all the forces are pulling you in different directions and keeping you in the same place. So it's kind of like that, and how just methods to cut the fluff out and the time wasting and really be efficient and focused. And it's been good, but there are some concerns I have with the book that I'm not quite sure if it's one that I want to tell a lot of our managers about, because it's like, stop coming to meetings. It's very much like Office Space, where the guy just walks in and he just starts doing whatever he wants to do.
And breaking
And
stuff.
just like, you just get up and walk out of a meeting. It kind of provokes that. So I'm kind of like, that's a little risky, but big picture, it's a good book so far. But I'm kind of in the midst of that.
It's kind of
and I would also recommend Ninja Selling, which I know you guys have probably all read, but from a sales perspective, that's been the best book that I've read in the last year.
What about you, Rachel?
I read a lot of science fiction, historical fiction. I just finished like a 3-part series on Victorian England about this guy that wrote, which at the time was very, I can't think of the word, but he wrote Confessions of an English Opium-Eater because, they had opium was so rampant back there, and they had it in all the households, and they made this medicine called laudanum, and they gave it to colicky babies and people that couldn't sleep. And it kind of delved into that a little bit more.
It's like Victorian Breaking Bad.
Yeah, kind of.
So, who would you like to give a shout out to? Your favorite restaurant, whatever.
I'm going to give a shout out to 2 people, if that's all right. Jill Clifton from Cardinal Financial and Ben Yeatts at Designated Title. And the reason I'm shouting them out is those 2 business leaders have stepped up for our Boots and Barbecue event, and they have become what's called a Rhinestone Cowboy sponsor, which means that they have contributed $15,000 apiece from their businesses towards Easter Seals in North Texas.
That's awesome.
And just to give a quick plug for that event for your listeners, September 25th, Gilly's Dallas, Boots and Barbecue, hosted by Century 21 Judge Fite, benefiting Easter Seals of North Texas. It's a great evening with barbecue and dancing and silent auction, live auction, a casino night. We're going to have a blast. So check in with the PB and Jaisy team and get your tickets and come join us for a great night.
Yeah, we actually had Jacob Benson on, and he talked a little bit about the event too, and we were able to get some details. So hopefully we can spur a little activity. Some of our listeners, people that want to meet us in person and stuff. You know?
We'll be there signing autographs, guys.
I guess I'll show up for that reason.
We've agreed to do a dinner if a certain number of people donated a certain amount of money from this show. So we'll see what happens, and Bill and Ann have agreed to do a dinner for them.
He hasn't actually asked Ann,
so we don't know.
Which is usually what happens.
But I'm sure it'll be fine.
He signs things.
Ann's been voluntold. She's agreed to do whatever I ask, because I do whatever she asks me to do without question.
As you should.
As I should.
Very good, Bill.
We've got this segment that we call Tales from the Lockbox. And they're humorous stories that we have and we see in the world. And I've got to tell you one that occurred to me many years ago. So I was sitting in my office, minding my own business, doing the things that I was supposed to be doing at the time.
Solitaire.
Yeah, playing solitaire, walking out of meetings, not going to wasteful things. And my phone rang, and I answered the phone, and it was a person on the other end of the phone, an agent in our company, that said, "I need your help right away." I'm like, "Why? What's the matter?" And they said, "There's this agent, which I'm not going to name, agent in the office, an older lady, many years older than what I am. And she had went to a garage sale in South Dallas, and she had found a treasure. A treasure. Yeah, a treasure that used D-size batteries. And someone had
personal in manner,
and someone has sold her on the fact that it was a massager.
It's kind of a massager.
So what she was doing was walking. This is back when we used to have agents on the front desk.
Agents.
She was walking up and down, massaging the up-duty agent with this device.
Personal massaging device.
And
Yes.
it was probably one of the funniest phone calls I've ever had. And the best thing about it was, I'm not your manager. Go talk to your manager.
He had nothing to do with it. Sorry.
They're like, well, the manager's got someone in his office.
But don't
interrupt them.
Don't you like massages?
Yeah, you're going on about Rachel's massages. You could have called her over to the office and she could have helped you.
Yeah, no. So, Eric, perhaps you have a tale or two that you would like to share.
So strangely enough, that same professional massager agent that you got a call about,
Oh, no.
I happen to know who that is. May she rest in peace. One day, she had just bought a brand new Cadillac and was not familiar with the controls. And I think she was, at that point, was probably in her 90s, right around that age, something like that. Brand new Cadillac, and she got in the car, and she was our building is here, and she's facing our building in the parking spot. And she puts it, instead of reverse to back out of the spot, she puts it in drive and drives forward and smashes into our building. And then she puts it in reverse, very confused, puts it in reverse and did a full 180 driving backwards U-turn and drove the back of her car straight through our building, right through our ASM's office, into the building, bricks falling, I mean, the whole 9 yards. So I give her credit for creating the first real estate drive-through office.
It was also her breakthrough year.
Yeah.
It was a breakthrough year for
She
her.
had a breakthrough year that
Yeah.
year in lots of ways.
Yeah.
It was an event that was very early in my career, so I got to run out there and call contractors and get it all boarded up, and we had to get the car towed out of the building, and quite an adventure. But just you mentioned that agent, and that's the same agent.
It's
with
just
the,
crazy.
Man, I wish I could have met her.
It sounds like she's a lot of fun.
Yes.
I
I would have
wonder if
loved to
that
have her on the
massager
podcast.
tool might have caused the wreck.
No, the
could.
massager tool happened after the fact.
She was sore from the accident. That's why she bought it.
She actually had to move offices at that point in time. And anyways, what we always want to do is get better with everything we do. So part of this podcast is we love to level up. And Jaisy, tell us.
Yes, so I'm cracking up because the quote that I used, I feel like is just perfect. I've recently finished a book by Matthew McConaughey. I know a lot of people have read it. I listened to it because it's a wonderful listen. It's a wonderful listen. Green Lights. So a quote that he said that really touched me was,
Oh no.
was, can we live in a way where we look forward to looking back? And unfortunately, she did not look in her rear view when she reversed back into the office.
She didn't have the book.
Yeah, she didn't have the book. But yes, can we live in a way where we look forward to looking back? And I just love that quote where, I'm sure as you guys have been raising your kids, you create moments where as they've gotten older, you look back and you're just like, wow, like we've come so far. So my level up, my action step for anyone that's listening is to mark in your calendar something to do this month or this week and that you can look forward to, so that when the next week passes, you can look back and be like, man, that's something really cool that I did. It could be something small like getting your nails done, treating yourself, going to dinner with your husband, anything like that. So
Getting a massage.
Yeah, getting a massage, finding a massager,
Going
something,
to
I don't
garage
know.
sales.
Yes.
I gotta go because I'm gonna go garage selling.
Okay. Well,
See what kinds you can get.
wow, what can we find?
You never know what you'll find.
With that said, one of the things that we want to encourage everybody to do, one, we thank you for listening, but it's really important to us that you give us a 5-star review on whatever form that you're listening to. So please give us a review. We would love to have your Tales from the Lockbox. And if we get a chance to read one online, you'll get a special gift from us for that Tales from the Lockbox. Guys, this has been the PB and Jaisy Show.
Thank you,
out.
Fites.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys, super fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Just had a chat, talk this and that with PB